We are in a time where no one is safe. Even with the cameras on, no one is safe. And that is sad.
Welcome back everyone to another Kira Cash Checker Credit, and today is not a review. I'm coming to you for a little chit chat, what's been going on in my life, so I want you to stay tuned. Grab your favorite cup of coffee, drink whatever it is, and just sit back. Let's just have a real conversation. Don't forget to drop down in the comments. Let me know what you've been thinking, what you've been going through, and what is your way to contributing to our fight for equality, for justice, for access to all of our civil rights. That's what today's video is about. Stay tuned. Thank you.
I just am Go Right coming on here, bringing you another review for a product of any sort that is kind of irrelevant right now to what's going on in the world. I've kind of just been sitting back and trying to think of what did I want to use my platform for at this moment. What do I want my subscribers to take from what I'm taking from right now, what I'm feeling. So right now it is June 8th. Protest demonstrations have been going on for quite some time now. They've been televised for about 7 to 10 days around the world. And I've been using this time to kind of reflect and see, you know, what is it that I want to put out into the world publicly, as well as I've been using this time to mold more and shape more into my own children, into my own household. What is the legacy that they should be receiving from me, as well as taking on into their everyday lives, and more specifically my children. That's who I care the most about at this point, is their futures. There are protests, definitely. There were protests going on where I live. I did not physically go and participate in those protests, but I figured the best way to handle this is just to educate my own children in my own home, to love everybody, to try to be empathetic to everyone's cause, but also loving yourself first and foremost. Loving yourself, knowing your worth, and going from there. You can love other people, everything else later on, but you have to love yourself. You have to love everything about yourself. Just overall self-love, knowing your own history is really important, and then knowing what you want to see in the future. What should it look like? And so with my children seeing these news broadcasts, the videos of the horrific things that have been happening in their world, it's during their time, so they hadn't seen, you know, historically those same things have been going on since the beginning of time. And so just making sure I pour into all the education that I can from my standpoint, from what I've experienced in my life, what their father has experienced in his life, people in our family, what we have experienced in our lives, as well as what they could possibly experience in their lives, but in a way that it is consumable by a young mind, where it's not overwhelming, and having the floor open for discussion and dialogue. I think that's something that's really big. You know, it's one thing to raise children in a way that you were raised, and then you're raising them how you would like to have been raised. So we're doing a combination of that, how we've been raised, as well as what we want to do for our children, how we want to raise our own children. That is what we're doing now. There's nothing wrong with the way that we were raised, but there are just certain things that we would like for our children to know, to understand, to stick up for, to be more leaders. Definitely still understand that the sky's the limit. You can be anything you want to be, but just how do you get there? How do you work towards it? They see us work all the time, but they're not really understanding of what it is that we do. So even just explaining that and how that came about. So that's what I've been doing over this time. Now, I did take some notes in my phone as well as in my book, to make sure that I don't miss not one beat of different things that I wanted to talk to you guys about really quickly. And my hair is a mess. Let's just stop and talk about that for a moment. My hair is a mess. I just took it out of those box braids that I did create a video for. I followed a tutorial from someone else. I will link it somewhere, and I'll probably link it in the description for people who are interested to see one. But yeah, it is a wash and condition day. A wealth of time to reflect even more, and now I'm having the time to sit and talk to you. So with that being said, let's just pause here for a moment. The usual, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. And let's do something different. Let me know that you've even made it this far into my video. Today we're going to pick an emoji. You've made it this far into the video. When you go to leave a comment, make sure that you put a pineapple, scream pineapple, or scream your favorite fruit. How about that? Your favorite fruit in the comment section below. I'm looking forward to see what you left. I promise you, a mother's work is like never ever done. Like I said, I haven't been to physically protest, but goodness knows I really wanted to go and protest and show my support, my solidarity in the cause. And it's not just about George Floyd. I really want people to understand that it's not just about this one incident. It's about our history of inequality, not being seen as equals, not being given our civil rights, you know, throughout history, not given our full access to our civil rights. So this is so much bigger, and it's just like, I believe Al Sharpton, it may have been someone else who said, you know, time is out. I definitely agree. Time is out. It is time for action. And, you know, even with the protests, once the protests allow us to be able to sit down and have a healthy dialogue with these lawmakers, the bill makers, all of these government officials, what do we want? We want peace. We want justice. We want equality in all areas of life. Definitely in healthcare, in education, in the workforce, in our homes, in our shopping areas, in our movie theaters, everywhere, in our churches. We want our civil rights, period, point blank. We do not want to have to look over our shoulder if there are goodness, like to just take today and age. Say it's 9:45 in the evening and all I want is some ice cream. I have to gauge whether or not it's safe for me to go to a local Walgreens, you know, or even if there's a Walmart open at that time. Is it safe for me? Am I going to be arrested just for breaking a curfew? The color of my skin? All of those things go into place, you know. And then also there's another piece on top of that. Should I go or should I send my husband? That is a double-edged sword. That is a multiple-edged sword, because my husband is black, because my husband is a male. So we have a curfew, we have a black male going out at night, and who's going to believe that he's going out for ice cream for his wife? Come on. Something as simple as that can get him killed. We saw what happened with Mr. Floyd. $20. And can somebody even tell me, was it actually a counterfeit? Really? And I'll tell you something else. I've worked in retail before, and the protocol has never been, if there is a bill that is suspected to be counterfeit, we call the police. No, we call a manager, okay? And let a manager assist the person with either giving an alternate bill, an alternate tender, or you have to leave the premises. Now, later on, they may decide to follow up with the actual just officer that is in the store, but that doesn't constitute a 911 call. But here again, it's just all these things have to go into play, into mind, when all I want was ice cream, for instance, if that's an example. It is just beyond ridiculous, the times that we have to live in, and it feeling normalized. This is not normal. It is not normal for going out for ice cream at 9 o'clock at night, 9:45 at night. Should be a life or death decision, whether you're weighing will something happen to me or my loved one because I'd like some ice cream. I'd like some ice. Or, it doesn't even have to be ice cream. Maybe a child, or I'm having an allergic reaction to something. Us being in the car trying to go get X, Y, Z could be a problem where we never make it back to our homes. And this has got to stop. It has to stop. So, along with that, again, like I said, time is out. And another thing that has been bugging me, and I've been thinking about, if I've been stopped by, when I've been stopped by a cop, they ask for all these different things. They know our history front and back, but we see a lot of times with these officers who are killing our unarmed black and brown brothers and sisters, that they get to run down our whole history, see if there's anything in our background, but we don't know anything about theirs. We know not one thing, not one infraction that they've had, not one write-up that they've had. We don't know anything about them. All we know is that supposedly they are a cop since they're wearing the uniform, have a badge, and came up on us in a car with some lights somewhere. They know all of this about us, but we don't have the right to look up something for them. So I hope that someone is watching this that is able to go and talk to those lawmakers. There needs to be something in place. For instance, if you get stopped for a speeding ticket, the officer should ask you, would you like for my machine to be calibrated? Yes, and I know it pisses them off. And I tell them yes. Absolutely. Go recalibrate your machine and try it again. Now, I don't know if they actually go back and recalibrate their machines, because I know they don't have me go down a road and come back up and see if I really was speeding or if their machine is working correctly or not. But just as they ask that, then yes, I want to see a report. I want to see a report of your infractions that you've had in the last 10 years. Yeah. 10, 15, 20 years, maybe just 2 decades, just to make it good across the board. Yeah, I want to see. And if you've had 3 or more, you are not allowed to pull me over. I get to go on about my business. You have to have done something to make those right. And matter of fact, why is it that these people have so many infractions and are allowed to keep their positions? Still be on the streets. They need to be pushing paperwork or something in there, cleaning up those jail cells or something. Let all those, the people who are locked up, let them come out, and those people go in there and clean up the cells. That needs to be a part of your reprimand. You don't get to just keep your job, you keep messing up. At least anywhere I've worked, I don't get to keep any job that I've ever had if I keep getting written up. Punitive action is what is supposed to be taking place. So you mean to tell me that these people who are aggravating these citizens and killing them, not just aggravating them, killing them for no murdering them, okay, slaughtering them. Some of them have infractions on them, multiple ones that stem years and years and years back. They pull us over and ask us for everything under the moon, okay? But you can't move, you can't talk. Even if you move or you talk, it doesn't matter. You can move or not. If they have it in their mind to kill you, then they just will. So that's something we're supposed to deal with. It's supposed to be just normal, right? Wrong. If we, like what I pose as the solution is having them clean up the cells or whatever it is after they've had all of these infractions, if they lose their jobs because of these infractions that they've had, ethically, morally, all of that kind of stuff, violating people's civil rights, then yeah, they should be let go. So we would have a force without force. So I feel like, I see the numbers of people out in the streets fighting for our rights, our civil liberties, and I'm wondering, is there a way that we can just mass get people who look like us, to go and apply for these jobs? What does it take to constitute your own police precinct? What do we need to do to pull that together? Is that possible? People policing us who are not policing us. They're hurting us. They're killing us. So why not have who are fed up, who wouldn't mind being an officer, to be out there working your own streets, or streets that you're familiar with, or streets that you don't mind becoming familiar with, in a mass way, all on one day or every day of whatever, every third Wednesday of the month, you know, we're going to have hundreds of these applications come through of us black and brown people to go ahead and take these positions, because obviously we have people in these positions who are not qualified. That would be interesting to see something like that happen, not just on the police force. On a larger level, say it could be even just to be the GM or someone management level at local government offices, at the housing authority offices. I don't know what they look like, but I'm just saying, just all of these places that were built to hold us down, we need people in there that is going to build us up. Al Sharpton, he said, we don't want any favors. We don't want any favors. You are going to have to get your knees off of our necks. We don't want any favors. We want to be what we were supposed to be without your knees on our neck. I love it. I love it. I love it. So that goes to black ownership. We have to start owning much, 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 much more. And I know they make it so hard for when you're starting out a business, a black-owned business, a small business, getting those loans. But you know what the key to it is? And that's something that they don't teach in school or even on a collegiate level. As parents, we have to start talking to our children and talking to them young and making sure they understand the impact of credit, of having those things, having good credit versus bad credit, having collateral, having things in your own name, that ownership. That is the best thing you could do for your kids, is make sure that they own things, own them right out. Or even if they do have to make a couple of payments on something, make it not be where they pay on something their whole entire life until they finally own it. No, let's go ahead and own things that you can pass down to your children, make money off of. That's how you leave a legacy. And I think that's something that a lot of people are missing. A lot of us are missing because our parents were still working from when their parents were still working and their parents were still working. Then we get into the slavery portion of it, where you definitely weren't owning much. Whatever you thought you owned, you're still on your slave master's land and paying them for what you quote unquote own. So I had a conversation with a friend today about, you know, black hair stores, hair care stores, versus the other hair care stores who are often run by people of the Asian community. It's really sad, but most cases that I've ever been into, if I go into a black-owned beauty supply stores, not very many of them, but if I go into one, the prices are jacked up so high, and I understand you may have to make up for the prices being jacked up high for you to even get it, you know, distributed to you so that you can give it to the community, sell it to the community, not sell it to the community. But, you know, if I'm trying to support you, why are you standing up in my pockets? And it pisses me off. It really does. It pisses me off so much where I'm like, nope. As soon as I walk in, I've been so jaded and have such a bitter taste in my mouth when I visit those types of places, because I already know that I'm going to be price gouged where I can just go and get it from the Asian place. But honestly, there's something that I found out is that, for instance, like, you know, Got to Be glued. I went into a beauty supply store and I was looking at the Got to Be. The Got to Be was like $7 and some change, almost $8, whereas at Walmart it's like $5 and some change. So, you know, here they are, you know, taxing the mess out of us, and then Walmart has it for cheaper. But, you know, Walmart is still not off the hook. Walmart was a part of, you know, the bill makers, the lawmakers making laws that are against us brown and black people, black and brown people, to put that knee on our neck, making the dumbest laws in America. Like, so it's just a travesty. It's a tragedy and a travesty. We just want to sit at the table and we want to be heard. It's ridiculous. So yeah, getting more black ownership and then getting support. So, you know, that would be even something that I have to work on. It's not like I'm perfect, but I'll be researching and finding more companies that I can support for my brown and black sisters, because this has got to stop. We need our own shops. We need our own places where we are going to buy the products that we need. We need our own places so that we can eat where we want and not have to worry about price gouging and eat good too. It's all of that. We need to be the ones filling those seats. You guys have not been able to do your jobs effectively, so we need to get in there and get that. I've joked with my husband several times, like, I'm going to go back to school. I want to be a judge at this point. I need to be a judge. Interestingly enough, when I had talked to my dad about protesting, my dad, he was wanting to go, down and, fight the cause, protest. And the reason why, my mom didn't really understand. She's like, no, it's too dangerous. But, what if all of the people back in the 50s, 60s said that, for us, they didn't go and protest? Where would we be? Those peaceful demonstrations, sitting at those lunch counters, sitting on the ground, just walking across those bridges. What if they decided, oh no, I don't want to go, I'm afraid, it's too scary? Yes, it's going to be scary. That's what they want us to be afraid, and we are not afraid. We are not afraid. I was talking to my dad, and we both agreed that it's not safe anywhere. Really, let's think about it. They're killing us in our neighborhoods, in our homes, in our own parks, gas stations, cars, and just on the road. When you're in police custody, somehow you end up getting killed. You end up hanging yourself when you are supposed to be on suicide watch. It baffles me. We're getting killed everywhere, in our churches, in our malls. We're getting killed everywhere. So it really doesn't matter. I feel like if you go out and protest, or if you stay at home, just as easily as you going out and protesting and getting hurt or possibly killed, it's the same level of endangerment that you could be putting yourself in. Again, going back to my previous example, going to get some ice cream. We are in a time where no one is safe. Even with the cameras on, no one is safe. And that is sad that all of our eyes see the same exact thing that is going on. Those same horrible travesties, murders that are going on. They are filmed live in action, in audio and video. And still there's a question, was it lawfully done? We just shouldn't have to choose between our health, our jobs, anything like that in protesting. Like, should I protest? Oh, maybe I shouldn't protest because I might lose my job. I might get arrested. I might get a misdemeanor or a felony or whatever. And then now what am I going to do? It shouldn't even be like that. It's the freedom of speech. The freedom to assemble. It shouldn't even have to be like that. I mean, what about all the good work you've done at your job? And it doesn't mean you were doing something bad just because you got arrested and taken in. You're standing up for your rights, for access to all of your rights. It's ridiculous. It's come to the point now where it's like either you fight for peace or you fight for silence, or you end up being silent. It's like peace versus silence. And those are two different things. Peacefully protesting, peacefully having a healthy discussion or debate, a talk, versus just not saying anything because you're afraid or because whatever the case may be. I don't want to be silent. I'm not silent. I am as peaceful as I can be. I will not hurt someone else to get my point across. At this point, too many people have been hurt. Too many people have been killed. And that's just beyond ridiculous. I want to take some time for you to understand me, my plight, what I've been through. I'm having to have these kind of conversations with my children at a much earlier age than I ever had to talk about these things with my parents or within, my family when I was a kid. my children are starting to see, or at least my oldest daughter, she's starting to see and recognize color and ask those questions, not just because of the most recent events, but other things that have occurred. So, one of the largest things that stood out when I went to college, funny enough, I was in a class that was all about cultural differences. I forget the name of the class. I'm going to have to go back and look at my transcript and see what was the name of that class. But I think it might have been called Cultural and Dialectical Issues. Something like that. Right? Everybody has to take that class. And we had a guest speaker. Of course, the professor was a white lady. And the guest speaker, I don't know what he was, just a white man. I guess just as white. He wasn't black. He wasn't Latino or Hispanic, anything like that. He wasn't Asian descent. I don't know what he was. I think it's just a white man. But anyhow, the class is majority white, but along the sides of the walls is where, I don't know why, somehow we just congregate and gravitate towards one another. There was where more black people were. So maybe in that class, maybe about 30 people, in that class about 30 people, there may have been about 4 or 5 black people. So, at this point I had tuned out in the conversation, and the man was talking about how his mom always knew he was different, and he would stick up for the underdog, the N-word. He didn't say N-word, he actually said the word. And I was expecting, for some reason, I started listening at that point. I was expecting for everyone in the room, especially the black people, to kind of move and be show shock. I expected for their body language to adequately show shock, and there was no shock. No one moved except for me, and I'm looking, I'm like, all right, here we go. It's on. Who's going to start it? What are we going to do? This is what I'm thinking as I'm looking around. The guy's just going on and on and on. I'm like, no one heard that? No one heard that. And me being the person I am, my mom calls me Martin Luther King. And I'm like, well, whatever. They pissed. I feel like I'm kind of more like Malcolm X, but my mom calls me Martin. So, whichever one, I don't care. But what I do know is that I couldn't have that. So I let him speak his piece. Went ahead and raised my hand. That's what you're supposed to do in school, right? Follow the rules. Raise your hand. Raise my hand. And I'm just like, you just said. And he didn't even have enough, gall or, class about himself to just be like, oh, that's what I said, or that's not what I meant, or anything. And I'm like, I can't believe you just said that. And do you know what the professor did instead? The professor told me, yeah, well, we're going to get back to that. We're going to get back to that. Just, just have a seat. Have a seat? You just let this man, I don't care how he said it. He shouldn't have said it. I thought this class was about ethical and dialectical issues. And here he is saying the N-word. Some people might feel like that's just a word. It's not just a word. It is a word, but it is not just a word, and it's not just. Okay? I don't care, especially in a class. I'm paying for this. I'm not paying to hear somebody come up in here talking the N-word to me as a guest speaker. how much of my tuition went into this guest speaker where I have to listen to him say the N-word, and no one else has a problem with that. And so I didn't just leave, just sit down. No, before I left, because I did leave, I don't have to sit through that. Okay, I let him know he is lucky that it is just one of me, and I am as mild-mannered as I am, because there been more of me and people who were not as mild-mannered as I was, he would not make it out of the door. Would not make it out of the door. And so I packed my things up, and I'm thinking that, I'm sure I said some other things, but I was not disrespectful. I thought more people would get up, follow me out, right on. We're not going to take that. I guess I walked out by myself. I walked out by myself. No one else walked out with me. No one else, even, days or weeks later was like, yeah, you remember when this happened? This wasn't right. The professor didn't even follow up with me and say, wow, that was horrible what happened. I'm so sorry. Nothing. It was like it never happened on that end. I called my dad and told him about it, and my dad, he was furious. I mean, my dad, he was ready to hop on the road. He's like, I want to talk to the president of that college. This is unacceptable. If I don't hear, my dad emailed him. He was like, if I don't hear from them in however many hours, I'm going to the news outlets. I mean, my daddy was ready, okay? I was like, just kind of calm down, because I still have to live here. I'll figure out something. But, yeah, that was horrible. And so the college did get back to him. They emailed him. I wonder if I still have that email. I'll have to see if I can find it, and I'll put the receipts up. If I do find it, I'll put the receipts up somewhere here so that you can see the response. But let me tell you, the response that the college had is that we were role playing, and that I misunderstood, the role playing. It was just an activity. Da da la 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 la. That's what it was. They sent him an email full of lies. It was straight up bullshit. Straight up. All the way. Every letter that they put into that email was bull. It was bull. Straight bull. So, going forward, and this is why I say you shouldn't have to be afraid of what's going to happen to you. So you decide, is it, it just comes down, do I want to try to do this in a peaceful way, or do I just want to be silent? Because there's going to be backlash. And of course there was backlash for me. The backlash for me was that there were people who were trying to blackball me and saying that I was a troublemaker, watch out for me. No, yeah, I guess you should probably watch out for me. I'm not a troublemaker, but you know what? I'm not going to take anything, okay? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, and I'm not interested in falling for anything. I'm sorry. I fall when I get ready. I don't fall on somebody else's account, okay? That's just ridiculous. No. And it ticked me off because the person I was at that time is not who I am now. It took a while for me to be able to be as vocal as I am. I think that was the beginning of my uprising to becoming who I am and who I'm going to be. I'm going to be even more vocal than this. But that wasn't even a fraction of who I am today. I was way more of a mouse in the corner than I'm becoming to be the lion. Okay? Not even a lioness, a lion. And for them to say something like that, I was really hurt. It hurt because they lied. It hurt because it felt like, I was just running and spreading these rumors, and now I'm trying to be a problem in the class. And the only way I knew that is someone told me. Someone who was, around those educators and knew me and knew my character. And So don't ever burn bridges wherever you are, wherever you're having your uprising or whatever, you're having your aha moments where you're actually getting to see these racial divides in your real life. Don't burn your bridges. Speak your peace, speak your mind. Fight your fights wherever you can. If you cannot protest, especially now, right now where people are protesting, that's fine. But I think just going forward on a daily basis, like I said, how I'm educating my own children, we are reading the Fierce 44. 44 Black Americans who shook up the world. And this is what I read to my children. I have my oldest daughter read with me weekly, and we talk about those people, what they did, the wonderful things they have done for our country. It's just a really good book, and some of the concepts are definitely over her head, but I break them down to her. Using that as something that she can see tangible, she can go back and read it over and over again, and not just what is put on the internet. Everything on the internet isn't true. Sometimes everything that's in the books aren't true either. So that's why I think this COVID crisis, pandemic has happened at a perfect time. I don't think us having the COVID is a perfect thing, but I think it's happening at a perfect time where we are able to keep our eyes on our children. For those of us who have younger children, we're able to keep our eyes on our children every day, all day, for those of us who, are not having to leave the house. And I think that is such a wonderful and a sweet spot, because I can pour into her love and make sure that she has empathy and knows how to display that empathy, but also still have her self-love